Well, the world's in a holding pattern waiting to learn more about the Omicron variant.
How concerning is this new variant and where is it now?
UW Health Chief Quality Officer Dr. Jeff Pothof is back with us. Welcome back.
Hi, Dr. Pothof.
Good to be here, guys.
On this all together, we're making a little progress, but how concerned are we about this new variant?
I think it's hard to know how concerned to be right now. If anything, it looks like it might be more contagious, but I think we still need to confirm that. What we don't know is, does it cause same level of disease, more severe disease, maybe even less severe disease? And then how well do our vaccines hold up against it? With all those mutations, it's reasonable to think maybe not that 94% type protection, but also reasonable not to think zero. It's going to have some benefit. So I think it's okay to be cautious, learn more, figure out what this is all about, but I don't think this is the end of the world. This won't send us back to square one.
So you think there's cause for concern but not alarm. Is that a good way to put it?
Absolutely. It's got features that make it pretty interesting. It might be a good virus, but at the same time, we're so much farther along and what we understand about the virus, how we can protect ourselves against the virus, how we can treat. You know, not worry that this takes us back to the beginning of the pandemic and we do it all over.
There has been such a swift reaction to this. I mean, it's just immediately. You know, travel restrictions, is that prudent or is it overreacting?
You know, I think the travel restrictions in and of themselves maybe buy you some time. They can maybe slow the spread, but what we found during the course of this pandemic is by the time you actually identify a variant, it's already traveled just because we're such a mobile world. So to think that, you know, we're going to escape getting it because we put travel restrictions, that's probably not going to happen. Does it slow it? Maybe a little bit. I think it's maybe not a bad idea until you understand what's going on. But long term, I think it's going to be things like mandatory vaccination and testing before you get to a place that's going to be better at stopping transmission just than blanket travel bans.
Talk a little bit more about the mutations that you mentioned and how this variant is different than the other variants, and why it's going to take a while before we know whether our current vaccines are going to be helpful against this variant.
Yeah, that's a good question. So our previous variants, whether they're like alpha or beta or delta, they typically have 1 to 3 mutations of that spike protein that allows the cell to attach, or the virus to attach to our cell and infect us. Omicron has 30 mutations of that spike protein, so it looks a lot different. Now, our vaccines are trained to look for the spike protein of original coronavirus. Now, there's a lot to a spike protein. It's likely that our vaccines will still recognize that, but what they need to do is they need to take that new virus, Omicron, and then mix it with the antibodies that are created from someone who's been vaccinated, and then see what happens. Does it neutralize it? And if it does it neutralize it to the same extent as our original vaccines against original coronavirus, or is it lesser? And that'll help us know what we can expect from vaccines as far as performance against this new variant.
And that takes several weeks to figure this out.
Several weeks. We're probably looking at, 2-3 weeks, which, in science terms is pretty fast, but for the rest of us who are like, what's going on? It seems like an eternity. Yep.
So in the meantime, what are we supposed to do in this no man's land that we're in? I mean, I guess the boosters are probably more important now than ever, but we understand there's some availability issues in the area. Maybe that's just a demand situation.
It could be. I think the good news is there's nothing special that you need to do. So I think if you're not vaccinated, get vaccinated. We've said that 1,000 times. If you're vaccinated, but it's been a while, 6 months, 8 months, get those boosters. There are boosters available. There may be temporary shortages of a certain brand or something as shipments come in, but it's okay to mix and match, especially those mRNAs. So if you're a Moderna, go ahead and get Pfizer or vice versa if you can't find it. And then other things, the old things, masking, distancing, things like that. I think if you see cases increase and Omicron becomes a big deal, you might see, at least for a short period of time, increased recommendations around masking, distancing, things like that. That works no matter what variant we're talking about.
Milwaukee is just instituting a mask. Not a mandate, but a recommendation?
That's what I heard within the last couple of hours. It sounds like Milwaukee is instituting a citywide mask recommendation. I think they said kind of in preparation for Omicron, but quite frankly, Delta is at extremely high levels of transmission in Milwaukee County right now. The benefit today is to stop Delta. The benefit for tomorrow might be for Omicron.
So if you got vaccinated 6 months ago, like so many of us did, do you have any protection at this point?
Yeah, you do. So you have actually pretty good protection, likely 60 to 70% protection from getting any symptoms, and then even better protection against severe disease. The problem becomes is those folks who are vaccinated who then have those breakthrough cases, which could be more common, 4 in 10 people, they may not have any symptoms. A lot of people have just carried about their normal lives. They could be infecting a lot of other people at a higher rate than, originally when people were, 94% protected. It's pretty unlikely you were going to spread it. So if you haven't been boosted and you're eligible, go get that done.
Yeah, it's been almost 2 years. We know what to do by now.
Yeah, right.
Get vaccinated. Doctor, thanks for being with us again.
Anytime.
See you
Thanks,
next week.
Dr. Pothof. Good to see you.